All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. And on this edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast, I have the privilege of being joined by Cal One the God. Cal, what's going on, my man? How you doing?
Yo, what's going on? Can we
It
we on deck right now?
It's been a long time, but you know what? Let's get out there and let's talk about the subject that you and I have discussed, man.
Well, I appreciate you having me on the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast. It's a good look. I haven't really done certain things in certain type of minutes, but let's get involved. What are we talking about today, and whom?
Well, I want to take this time out to talk about none other than Kevin Durant. The reason why I say it is this because when the 2025-2026 NBA season starts up in about 6 months or so, 6.5 months, give or take, all right? The Phoenix Suns, the team who KD currently plays for, and I use that term very loosely, all right? They're going to be on their fourth different head coach in as many seasons, which right there is a problem. It's a bad look for the Suns, and it's an even worse look for Kevin Durant. You talk about a guy, he's had
Mm,
the highest of highest throughout his career. We're talking about a guy, 15-time All Star,
right, right,
NBA
right.
MVP in 2014, two-time NBA champion, Olympic gold medalist. Okay, you name it. He has all the accolades to make him a Hall of Famer, and he will be. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But for some people,
First ballot,
yeah,
first ballot.
those two titles that KD won with Golden State, to me, they didn't have a lot of
Mhm.
luster to begin with, and whatever luster that they had, they're
Right.
losing it now. And honestly, he's going to be remembered, in my opinion, for a guy who left the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2016 after they were up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals on Golden State. And, it hasn't been, things have not been worked out
That was tough.
for Kevin Durant since he left the Nets, pardon me,
It's
left the
tough.
Warriors in 2019 to join the Nets and now the Suns. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on everything.
Well, I'm gonna tell you just like this. So if we go all the way back to when the situation first happened with Golden State, I was one of those that always thought it was kind of punky to go join your op. That's just me. Like I'm not like the way I grew up playing basketball. I don't care who you are, where you come from. I'm not joining you. If we're ops, we're playing. We're the opposition. We're the best at what we do. I want to get at you. I don't want to join you. He did it. So I was like, why did he do it? Then, in retrospect, think about it now. Let's look at a guy like Carmelo Anthony. Let's look at Dwight Howard. These are the two most notable people going into the Hall of Fame of basketball this year. And Carmelo, he ran for it on the end. It didn't happen. All right. Dwight Howard, he got in on the end. That completed his circle of what he did. However, this dude, who I've talked about, I don't really have a real bad problem with Kevin Durant because I know what he was. He's a scorer. If anybody ever played with a scorer in their life, like scorers, I played with scorers, but also played with dudes that was nice from 1 to 10. Golden State was not nice from 1 to 10, but it wasn't about your scorer. And they showed that they already had scorers, but he was a box scorer. When I say that, I mean no matter what he do, he's going to shoot 27, 28 points a game. How do you feel about that? Is that true, William?
Yeah, listen, KD is going to get his buckets. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I think, for a lot of people from the jump, it looked weak for him leaving OKC to go to Golden State. You know what I'm saying? If he wanted to
It
leave,
did.
fine.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
It looked weak.
And then, we know how things finished. That last season with Golden State was not pretty. We saw him and Draymond Green, get into it on the sidelines one time in the game. I think it was against Utah. And then from there, he tore his Achilles in the finals that year. So we saw him leave Golden State via sign and trade to go to Brooklyn, okay, with the and team up with Kyrie. And I said it then that
Right.
it was not going to work. And I mean, the biggest thing for KD right now, his brother's looking like a coach killer because you think about it.
Factory.
In his 2.5 years with Phoenix, the head coach has gotten fired. Okay, Steve Nash got fired with the Brooklyn Nets, and I'll take it a step further.
Go back. Go back. We talked about this.
Kenny Atkinson quit before KD even played one game with the team. Okay, so it's looking, and now you're talking about a situation where it's just like, yo, KD, man, what's going on? Because since he won that championship or that last championship of Golden State, that was 2018. They made the finals in 2019. Of course, he got hurt. Clay got hurt in that series as well. All right. Um, he got out of the first round once for Brooklyn. He went to Phoenix.
Right.
Okay, they got out of the first round once, but we're talking about a guy who, since leaving Golden State, he got swept twice. The Nets got swept by the Celtics, and then of course, that
Nasty.
yeah,
Nasty work. Wait, but
yeah,
hold on, William. Hold on,
hmm
William.
hmm
Let me say this. So the other day, you saw all you citywide sports people that's going to see this. The other day, I talked about the Brooklyn situation, right? And I talked about KD, what he did, Kyrie, and what they did. My opinion to you, they should have went to the Knicks. What do you think about that? Just to switch it up, and we can get back on subject.
I don't I don't know if where the team where they decided to go to would have made a bigger difference because I think both of them, in my opinion, went to the Nets, and I think they were in their feelings. I think, KD was in his feelings because Golden State was never going to be his team. It was always going to be
Never.
Steph Curry's
Yes,
team.
team.
And then the thing was, it was like I feel like Kyrie he left he got traded from Cleveland to Boston. Didn't work out in Boston in that one year. But in his time with Cleveland when LeBron was there, he was never, and I know LeBron was probably going to bounce after that year anyway, but he was never going to be the Batman. He was always going to be the Robin to LeBron. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
As he should be.
Right. You
As he
know,
should be. And let me keep it a
absolutely.
buck
A-
with you.
absolutely.
LeBron, at that point, from 2010 to 2020, is the best player I've seen in the NBA. Period. Whether he got the accolades or not, he did something people didn't do. He went to what, 8 or 9 straight finals?
Eight.
What was it?
Eight. It was 8.
8.
Hmm.
Name your best favorite player that went to 8 or 9 straight joints.
No, it's not,
Nobody,
no.
unless you Bill Russell or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Nobody. So I will give him that point of what he did. However, going back to KD was the arch nemesis at that point, and
Right.
he gave LeBron work.
Right.
However, it didn't work out for him going backwards. They was trying to put the super team shit together, like how they was doing the super team shit,
Right.
and we was like, "Yo, a super team?" At least I was. Even when they first tried it,
Hmm.
there wasn't no super teams. We could go back. I'm not going to go back with you. But what I'm going to tell you is simply this. Phoenix, he got traded there. He didn't ask to be there. They unloaded him. They got rid of him.
Right.
And who was his first coach there?
Monty Williams.
Williams. I banged with Monty going back to Notre Dame. Let's do the math. So for all you who don't know, I'm a dude that know the Big East. Monty Williams is giving out work. He was a good player. Played with the Knicks, played with different teams, but he was a decent coach. And as you did a post, a whole joint on coach killers the other day,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, I watched it this morning.
Right.
Why no coaches can't live right now?
Listen, it is
Well, it's the players.
right. Like, listen, like it's a
It's not the
difficult.
coaches.
Listen, I mean, it's difficult. Like I said last night, it's difficult to be a head coach right now in the NBA. And I mean, I go back to a very telling statement that Kyrie made not too long after they got to Brooklyn, and it was basically, we don't need a head coach, and it,
No,
it showed because we saw the lack of respect that they had. for Steve Nash. It cost him his job. We saw the lack of respect that they had for Kenny Atkinson prior to that. And I mean, I'll add to what I said, last night. And the fact is, a lot of these guys in the NBA don't respect their coaches. Okay, they don't, and it starts from your
Why?
stars. It starts from your stars all.
Why do you think?
Well, I don't think that they've been humbled. Okay, and
Mm,
it starts at the AAU level. Whereas like if these kids don't get what they want, they're going someplace else, or they're getting the coach fired. And then at a lot of these kids, they're one and done in college. If they stay in college for multiple years, more often than not, they're transferring. And the thing is, law of averages, if you're only in college ball for 1 year, you never really learn the opportunity. You never took the opportunity, or you never had the opportunity to learn the system. And of course, a lot of things have changed because once upon a time, I know it was a different era. Freshmen, if they played, they came off the bench. Okay, and of course, there was once upon a time with the NCAA where freshmen didn't play at all. Okay, nowadays it's basically common where not only do freshmen play, they start. So sometimes the game will humble you and make you have to work for it, make you have to earn your stripes, so to speak. And I think
fact,
because of that, they haven't been
fact.
humbled. So a lot of these kids, they're coming in with egos, and of course, it continues to develop and grow and fester. So I think that right there, is an issue with it. With KD, it's just like I'm
It
looking at
is.
him, and I'm like, dude, you know, you have not gotten past the second round since you left Golden State. To me, I thought his time with the Brooklyn Nets was a
I
disaster.
smell shit.
Listen, his time with the Brooklyn Nets was a disaster, and then on top of
I
that,
smell shit.
it's even worse to me with Phoenix than it was in Brooklyn. And honestly, both times when KD went to
Hold on,
Brooklyn,
wait, William, because I was on with the folks, the good folks in Citywide Sports, and I said live on one of my old lives when I was torturing the Knicks and whoever. I said at that point when they got them three people, they got that Brooklyn team together. I said they bust a win a bust. That's what I said. I said they're the only team in the league, no matter who could win the joint,
mhm.
win or bust.
Well, listen, I knew
That
it.
was the only time I ever said that.
Listen, I said it, and I said
Yeah.
it, and I remember a good friend of ours. We had a conversation the day that the announcement was made for them going to Brooklyn. We both laughed, and we said, you know what, it wouldn't work. And I said it wasn't going to work in Phoenix
Peter
when
Pan.
when they made the trade for Brad Beal because you have three guys that do the same thing. And this is the problem where guys are trying to put together quote unquote super teams. If you're going to get three all-star caliber players together, more often than not, they have to have different skill sets. They have to do things different. You look almost 20 years ago now when Boston
Right,
brought in KG
right.
and they brought in Ray Allen to be with Paul Pierce. All three of those
No
guys,
straight skill set.
different skill sets. Now, KG sacrificed his offensive game, but he was still a heck of a defender. He rebounded, he facilitated. And of course, Paul Pierce played the post. Paul Pierce had the mid range, and of course,
Yes.
Ray Allen will kill you from deep. All right. But when you're talking about coming in and having three guys do the
And
same,
wait, William. Rondo!
you had a point guard, and that was something the Phoenix has had missed this season. They did not have themselves a point guard, and it's just like you have this idea with the analytics. Oh, we don't need a point guard. Yes, you do. You need a floor general. You need a guy who's going to go out there and set these guys up, and that's why it didn't work. And for Kevin Durant, to me, I don't know the brother personally, but I'm like, sometimes he might walk around with a chip on his shoulder because I feel like KD wants more respect and he wants the respect that he feels that he deserves. And I'm gonna put KD in the category of Isaiah Thomas. And I say it for this. We all
Okay.
know Isaiah Thomas was a bad man, one of the greatest point
Yeah,
guards
yeah,
to ever play in the
yeah.
NBA. Nobody's gonna question that. Nobody should question that. But that one incident.
Hold on, William.
Mhm.
Hold on, William. Before you get into that, I want to say salute to Christopher James Sullivan. I'm having a drink and I'm having a good because I've never ever drink or smoke on your podcast. And
Hmm.
I'll tell you, Christopher James Sullivan was a man that loved sports. So salute and Michael Ansley, I see you. I'm ready. Let's go.
No, no, yeah, nah, trust me, I understand, man. But I was just saying that they didn't, they brought in three guys in Phoenix, and they all did the same thing. Okay, we're talking about all three scorers, and I think people around the NBA need to get away from this notion to say, okay, we need multiple guys, we need multiple all-star caliber players. You okay, having multiple all-star caliber players is one thing, but again, when they have the same skill set. I mean, it worked in Miami with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh because Bosh had a different skill set. He had to sacrifice his offensive game for LeBron and
Absolutely.
Dwayne Wade. Now, Dwayne Wade and LeBron's game was similar, but they were able to make it work. You can't have three guys. That's why it didn't work out in Brooklyn with Kyrie, with James Harden, and Kevin Durant. That was one of the reasons why.
I
And
used to
clearly,
kill
and
them all
yeah,
the time. I used to
right,
kill them.
and clearly it didn't work out here in Phoenix because KD's gonna get traded over the summer. But like I was saying, getting back to my Isaiah Thomas point is that Isaiah, after that one incident, game four of the 91 Eastern Conference Finals when the Pistons didn't walk off the court and shake hands, that unfortunately for Isaiah
Nope.
Thomas has been something that has stuck with him for the rest of his life. And it's something where,
But why? But why? Why? Who was the protagonist and why?
listen, it's one of those where it was an unfortunate and it has been an unfortunate stain on his career. And my point is, I feel like,
Mhm.
Isaiah's been looking for the respect that he feels that he deserves since then. I put KD in the same category because it's one of those where, hey,
Okay.
KD is probably going to spend the rest of his natural life searching for that respect because I don't know where he's going to go this summer, okay? But I simply don't see Kevin Durant winning another championship in the NBA. And I think because of that,
I agree.
people are going to look at those Golden State titles and say, "Hey, you know what? You simply went there as a hired gun."
Yes, I agree 100%. So my question to you is
Hmm.
simply this: where should Kevin Durant go and take his skill set? He doesn't have a choice because he's gonna get traded,
Hmm.
correct?
Absolutely. I
He's
listen,
trade bait. And
I I think Phoenix will work with Kevin Durant because you figure like the two times that Kevin Durant got traded, the teams worked with him because it was a sign and trade for him to go to Golden State, uh, to Brooklyn. Okay, and that's how Golden State ended up with D'Angelo Russell at the time. All right, it was like they worked with him
Odino.
they worked with him to get him to Phoenix because that was one of the places he wanted to go. And
Okay.
he expressed his frustration after the Nets traded Kyrie because Kyrie, if you remember, Kyrie wanted that extension, and the Nets said no at the time. They said we could talk about it after the season, and then of course,
Right.
Kyrie
They
ended up getting
ran.
traded. Yeah, he ended up getting traded to Dallas, and KD didn't want to stay there anymore. I think Phoenix will work with him, but I've been saying for the last couple of years, I feel the best place for Kevin Durant to be is Oklahoma City. Number one, allow his career to be
They say
full
that.
to come full circle. Then on top of that, I think OKC is missing a second finisher, a guy who, you know what, if you put too much attention on SGA in the playoffs, we got another guy, and I think it would allow Kevin Durant's
We
career
talked
to
about that 2 weeks ago. We
yeah,
talked about that.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, will it happen? I'm not sure, but in my opinion, I feel like that's the best place for Kevin Durant to go.
Listen, I've watched you do what you do it, and you do it very, very well. And I'm a person, in case anybody doesn't know, on this 300 pounds of sports knowledge podcast. If you ever want to learn about anything, any sport, you listen to William Martin because what he says makes sense. And if I want to know about any news from anywhere about any sport, I'm going to listen to you because it makes sense. And I'm going to agree with you, like I heard you say this several weeks back. We was talking about this, and we did a podcast Monty Williams and the Phoenix Suns years ago, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We did. And so now we're talking about it at full circle. I'll tell you this. I'm not going to beat the kid down
Mm-hmm.
at all. What I'm going to say is this: be careful what you ask for and what you think you could do. This super team shit don't work. It worked for some people when it was supposed to work, but it only worked one. Look, my finger is one time. It worked for this one, for that one, or the other. I feel like Phoenix is a major disappointment. Devin Booker, he needs to leave. That's my opinion. And not so much to win the chip, but to truly show his skill set. What do you think? Then you
Listen,
got
listen. I've listen. I've been saying it since last week. I think Phoenix should get up off of all three of these guys. I think they need to start over, and it's due to the fact that
great.
they don't have any picks, and they need some type of salary cap relief, and they just need to say, you know what, we're going to start over. But the problem right there,
Who's the
uh,
third one? Who's the third, Bill? Because I'm gonna talk to
Brad,
you
Brad,
about
Brad,
the who's the third person. It's
Bradley Bill. Because like they
okay.
got this.
So here's what I'm saying about Bradley Bill. I was in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, DMV area. They had dolls, this, that, and the third. He was the only thing they had down there.
Right.
Bradley Bill. I was there. Alex Ovechkin, shout out. He's the all-time goals leader. You heard, right?
Hmm.
But right? But when it was about this dude, Bradley Bill, he was the man. When you went into the stores to go into the stores for your kids, for college, for high school, whatever you went and did, Bradley Bill in that DMV area kept the Washington Wizards relevant. And I'm not talking about as far as NBA type time,
Hmm.
right? And I bought my son a Washington Wizards hat because he was putting that work in. But when you dealing with teams that ain't going nowhere and you're the best player, of course you get all the shots. You got to put the work in.
Right.
You put the all three together like how they did. You do this, you do. They didn't know what the fuck they was doing. That's whoever coach got fired, whoever they was, whatever they do, God did not know how to put it together. And guess what? Me and you ain't wouldn't know how to put it together neither.
No,
Different
listen.
skill set. But go ahead, bro. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, listen. It's kind of like getting three running backs on a team and building around those running backs, and you don't have a good quarterback, you don't have good receivers, you don't have a good offensive line. It's one of those, as opposed to putting all of your stock in the running backs, for an example, go put some stock in a quarterback, go put some stock in an offensive tackle, a tight end, a wide receiver, because you're going to need different pieces. Now, you have three guys that are ball dominant guys. Okay, you have three guys that don't know how to play without the basketball in their hands, and they're not as effective without the basketball in their hands either. And I think, whenever you do that, it's not going to work. And this is where, like I said, getting back to this whole super team concept, it's one of those where anytime we've ever seen a team with a big three, so to speak, those guys did something different. It was like, all right, you look at the Bulls, from the mid 90s. All right, for a lot of people, greatest team ever. Okay, Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest player ever. Okay, Scottie Pippen was arguably the best Robin ever, and Scottie Pippen was that point forward, if you would, because he had handle. All right, he could
He
defend.
really originated that shit. The
Right,
point forward, him.
right, and then of course you had Dennis Rodman, arguably the greatest rebounder ever and one of the best defensive players ever. So those elements allowed something like that to work. It would not have worked if you had three Michael Jordans. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You can't just sit up there
Agree.
and
Agree.
like it
Agree.
listen,
100.
it would
And I
not.
am not a fan. I
No,
am not a fan.
no.
But I respect great basketball and great people. I'm not a fan.
Yeah. It's
But
like
I'll tell you this. Going back to Kevin Durant, it's disappointment movement. And so now everybody's like, well, oh shit, Kawhi is that dude now, right? Are you hearing it? Do you see it? Oh, it's Kawhi. 20 straight games of 20 points plus per game,
Well,
right?
Kawhi is that guy until he gets hurt. You know what I'm saying? That's the that's been the biggest knock on him,
But
since
this is
he
what I
yeah,
heard
yeah.
on the Jack today. They people they was like, yo, he did 20 straight games of 20 points a game. And he
Hmm.
looks like how he does defensively and offensively. What do you think about that? Because that's like a they trying to like shift the narrative.
Listen,
And the narrative is really on what we talking about. The dude with the ball spot. You know, I'll say this to you. I respect greatness. Who is in the top five of 20,000 point scorers in the NBA?
you top five all time
Top five. 20,000 all time from 20 to 25. Top five.
to 20 to 25 off the top of my head. Well, KD has more than that. I think KD's at like 28 or 29,000. We know LeBron's at 40.
Oh, so we're gonna put him in there.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do 40. We're talking about 20. You gotta
Tw-
put yeah, you got you
Giannis just made no, no. Did he? Yeah, I think he just made it.
yeah. I fuck with Giannis. He a
Giannis,
tough dude.
Giannis
I
is
fuck with Giannis. He a
Giannis
tough
is
dude.
Giannis is in that.
He gonna be a tough out by himself.
Hmm. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
All right, but we in agreement about what you not sure about because I'm
Hmm.
not sure neither.
Okay.
And when you go into that realm and you're talking about KD and what he does, it's almost like we had this conversation. It feels like deja vu.
Right.
And I wanted to tell y'all, you and who you were with last night, talking about why these kids and these people can't be coached and why the coaches is getting killed. Everybody watching this, go back to the last thing of 300 pounds of sports knowledge because it tell you. Am I lying?
No. Listen, it's one of those
Right.
where I look at Kevin Durant, and some people might say, hey, you know what? At this point, he's Carmelo with two rings. Some people might actually
Is
say
he
that.
coachable? Is he
Listen,
coachable, William? Is he coachable?
I don't think so. I
Is he
don't think
systematic?
nope. Because you look at it, you're talking about a guy that, since Steve Kerr, all right, he went to Brooklyn, there was Kenny Atkinson. He didn't play that year. Kenny Atkinson quit. From there, it was Steve Nash, okay? And then Steve Nash got, I think, a season and some change, and then he got fired. And then it was Jock Vaughn. And for the rest of KD's time with Brooklyn, it was Jock Vaughn. You get traded to
I like Jack
Phoenix.
Boy. He was tough.
It was Monty Williams. Monty Williams got fired after that season, okay? Because they lost to Denver, and Denver was on their way to winning the championship. Last year, it was Frank
Exactly.
Vogel. It was Frank Vogel, and they got swept by Minnesota because Anthony Edwards defensively was on a mission, you know.
Bang bang.
And then of course this year it was Mike
Bang bang.
Budenholzer, and we're not just talking about
Mhm.
random coaches because Monty Williams got helped the Suns get to the finals in 2021. Frank Vogel won a championship with the Lakers, and even before that, Frank Vogel had a successful run with Indiana. And then, of course, Mike Budenholzer. Mike Budenholzer had a great run with Atlanta. He helped led Milwaukee to
Yeah.
that championship over Phoenix in 2021. And then he just got fired. So, I mean, regardless, KD's going to
He
be
did.
like KD's going to have to work with another head coach next year, whether he's in Phoenix or whether he's going to get traded. And I think he's going to end up getting traded. But at this point, you know, if one's an accident, two's a trend, and three's a problem. And I think we're beyond the problem right now because KD damn sure he damn sure ain't the solution. Because if all of these coaches are getting fired
No,
and then all of your teams continue to fail and you are for the most part are the focal point of things, that falls into your lap, man. Because think about it this season. I said it before, and I'll say it again right now. The Dallas Mavericks did everything in their power to give the Phoenix Suns a spot in the play-in, and Phoenix still couldn't get it done. Matter of fact, Phoenix finished tied with Portland at 36 and 46.
They did, yes.
You
And
know,
Portland was shitty all year. I
right.
watched them all year. They got some good young dudes,
Hmm. Yeah, so like there's no excuse.
and that's it.
There's no excuse for this Phoenix squad. There's no excuse for Kevin Durant, and not to mention you went and joined Golden State. Y'all won two championships, okay? In the 3 years you got that you were there, you got to the finals each year. Granted, both him and Clay got hurt during the
He
finals.
was, and he was cooking LeBron. He was cooking LeBron for all you LeBron heads, dog pocketbook watching dudes and people and girls and people. He was cooking LeBron.
And
I'm listening.
and
He cooked LeBron.
from
It
there,
was he had LeBron on skates.
and you figure from there, Golden State, they won a championship before Kevin Durant got there, and they won one without him once he left.
They didn't
And
need him. They
and and
never needed him.
and it's like it kind of like gets back to my point of what I said before. Is like basically they just brought him in as a hired gun. Okay, so I think all of that at the end of the day is part of his legacy, unfortunately, because I feel like you can't tell the story of Kevin Durant, the two-time champion, and not tell about everything that has happened after he left Golden State, and he really has not worked out, man. I mean, this guy has not made it out past the second round since leaving Golden State, and this Phoenix, I thought Brooklyn was going to be his most epic failure of his
I
career,
did, and you said
and
failure. Now remember, we knew they was going to fail, but I that one particular year, the first year, I
hmm
said in Citywide Sports, I said they gonna win or bust.
yeah,
They're the only team in the whole league that particular year that could win and bust. They
listen,
bust,
listen,
and somebody else won.
and as bad as that Brooklyn tenure was, Phoenix is even worse. And I said this because I've been talking about the Phoenix Suns like several times the last couple of weeks, and I said, this microwave championship aspect doesn't work. I feel like it started with their owner. You simply get you a couple of superstar players, stir it in a pot, add water and mix, and you think you got a championship. It clearly has not worked. So my final question to you is
Okay.
right now, what do you think Kevin Durant's basketball legacy is?
First ballot Hall of Famer. Within the dudes that actually know the game and what we do, you got them. That's a trick. Those is trick championships. We don't believe you. Like Jay Z said, you need more people. I'm gonna leave it there. We don't believe you. You need more people.
Listen, I mean, KD's had a who's who that he's played with. You figure he played with James Harden twice. He played with Russ all of those years in OKC. Steph, Klay Thompson. I know they had Boogie Cousins for a hot minute with Golden State.
And guess what? Russ is in it. Russ is in it right now.
Right, right,
James Harden is in it. Who you started with? Them dudes, they got championship aspirations. Shit could happen.
right,
Them dudes, the same dudes you was acting like you was better than. It's team concept, team motivation, team situation.
right,
You heard?
right.
Right now, they in it. He's at home. And with Phoenix, stay your Phoenix bum ass at home.
Listen, I mean, like I said, it's going to be one of those where Kevin Durant, fairly or unfairly, is going to be criticized for these because these moves. I feel like it's one of those where egos got the best of everybody in Golden State, and I'm not going to sit up there and pin it all on Kevin Durant. Okay, he went someplace
Okay, I'll
else.
give you that.
You know,
Definitely.
I feel like KD, in my opinion, has seen what LeBron has done throughout his career, and he's tried to do what LeBron has done. But the thing is,
You
unfortunately,
can't do that.
no,
That's not for you.
it's worked for LeBron. It's not work for Kevin Durant because you figure,
Only for LeBron.
right.
He's not LeBron.
Listen, every place, once you eliminate the first tenure in Cleveland for LeBron, every place that he's gone, he's won. Okay, every team that he's bounced to, he's won. That's
Mhm.
something that you cannot.
Every single team.
That's something that you can't say about Kevin Durant. And like I said, I think the best way for KD to go out there and save some face and try to win another championship. Because I think KD wants to. I think he's gone to different teams because he felt like he had an opportunity to win a championship there. Okay, I feel like
But William, he got to double down. He got to double down 5 points. You know what
yeah,
that 5 point means? That 5 point means millions of dollars. He got to double down 5, 6 points. See James Harden.
right,
He doubled down to 5 point, but he get to control the team.
right. But I mean with
He
KD,
the he is
no, I
no.
was
Go ahead.
no, I was just saying it's just one of those where I think, getting another championship would allow his career to come somewhat full circle, especially, if he went back to OKC. But I just don't see it
It's not
happening.
gonna happen
No. So I think what
because SGA is yo prolific on a. You could put him on a top 10 scorers list of what you've done in the season. The
I'm
top 10 players we've seen do what in the season, what he scored, what he's done,
right,
give it to him. We told
right,
he's at 32 points a game.
right.
Who do we know did 31, 30, 31, 35, 36? James Harden, who is still active, is the only one on that list right now.
Right.
Who?
Listen, it's one of those for
Ain't nobody on that list.
nah, listen, I mean, it's one of those for KD. I feel like I said, you can't tell one side of the story for his basketball career without telling the other side. I
I'll
mean,
tell them both. I agree.
he's going to be remembered as one of the most prolific scorers ever because he's gonna get to that 30,000
Top
level.
five, first ballot Hall of Famer. He
Oh,
needs to go play with. In my opinion, you say he should go to OKC.
mm-hmm.
I think he should go to Denver.
Nah, I don't.
Hmm.
Nah, it wouldn't work there. It wouldn't work. It would not work.
You don't see it?
It would
Why?
not work. It
Why?
wouldn't. It wouldn't work because
All right, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm starting trouble.
listen,
I say go to Denver.
mm-hmm,
Look at see one thing. Here's why. Here's why I said go to Denver. They're mad at Russ for playing hard all the time, all the way around. What the fuck we think KD do? He play hard all the way around all the time. He gonna give you business. He's guaranteed. It ain't too
mm-hmm,
many dudes in the league right now. That's guaranteed. KD is guaranteed 25, 27 points a game
right.
at like 95 years old. What we
Mm-hmm.
talking? So I don't know how that's gonna work, but I'm just throwing hypotheticals, yo. And if I'm gonna go
Nah,
hypothetical, I say, yo, go fuck with Denver.
I
They mad
don't.
at Russ. You talking about KD should play until he's 90 because you
Nah,
can show these young motherfuckers how to play and how to get prepared for a game and what your role in your job is. That's where I have no issue with KD at.
nah, I mean, like honestly,
True?
it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work in Denver. I mean, I
And
just
of
don't see
course not. We know that. I'm just doing a
it.
hypothetical about his work ethic and what he brings.
But I listen. That's why I feel like it would work in OKC because you give them that other consistent, legitimate scorer, that other consistent threat, other than SGA, and it would give Thunder opponents somebody
I
else
got you on that.
to
I got you on
fear.
that.
You know what I'm saying? Because the man in his prime was called this.
I got
He was called the Slim Reaper for a reason. And when KD gets in that zone, as far as scoring, give him the
busy.
ball and
He busy. He busy.
and plain and
Uh,
simple, just get out of his way. But nonetheless, I
But
feel
that's individual.
right. But at the end of the day, I just think right
It's
now, little, it's a little complicated. Bad look in Phoenix. It was a bad look in Brooklyn, of course. Like I said before, The look in Phoenix for KD is even
Agreed.
worse, and
Agreed.
it's a huge stain on him. But I'm like, wherever he goes, if he's serious about trying to win another championship, he's going to have to realize, you know what, it's not always going to be about him. And I think part of that was the case in Phoenix because, it was Devin Booker's team. I totally get it. But I think the biggest thing that hurt them, the coaching changes, and they didn't have a point guard. So he needs to go someplace where
Agree. I 100% agree.
where you've got a point guard, and then on top of that, where you have another, legit scorer. He'll get that in SGA. If just hypothetically speaking, if he went to an OKC, I'm not holding my breath on that trade going down as far as Phoenix trading him in the West, and B, OKC being willing to get up off of some of their young picks or some of their young players and those picks that they have to make that deal happen. I'm just throwing it out there. But like I said, that to me is going to be one of the most interesting moves over the summer to see where Durant ends up playing next year. So, um,
Yeah, I
but yeah, man,
agree.
listen.
I just got one thing to say, man.
Hmm.
Here's what I got to say about it. I wish him well, and whatever he does, he's the first ballot Hall of Famer.
Hmm.
He can go any way he wants to go. He can do, but at the end of the day, I do not expect for him to win another NBA basketball championship because his game is too hard to dummy down.
Yeah, no, and it's just like I don't see Kevin Durant playing second banana. And the reason why is like a lot of basically, if you remember those two championships that he had with Golden State, basically, like I said, he was brought in there almost as a hired gun. They gave him the ball in the finals and they got out of his way. And like KD, he delivered, okay. And I give him credit because he didn't he didn't like wilt, under the spotlight, if you will. It was kind of like, you know what? That was his moment. He shined out. He balled out. He got those two
No,
championships. He was a
no,
two-time.
he
He
did what
was
he needed to.
listen. He was a two times Finals MVP. It just hasn't worked out for him since leaving Golden State. So, like I said, that's where you like it's a tale of two careers almost, if you will, for one Kevin Durant. But yeah, man. But
Agreed.
hmm
And for anybody that don't know, we already talked about him. That was a sports knowledge podcast. We did talk about it. So I've enjoyed my time. Closing thoughts. What we talking about?
listen, as always, Cal, I just wanted to say in closing, appreciate you.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah, we talked about KD, man. Just like I said, but in closing, I just appreciated you, jumping on here with me to talk about this subject. And
It's like regular, bro.
yeah, listen, man, trust me, and as always, it was a pleasure, man. Cal, you there? All right, we lost you. Yeah,
And
sound
this, so all the people that's listening, 300 pounds of sports knowledge
okay.
podcast is the best. You heard?
Well, listen, man. Nah, trust me.
I'm on it. Anytime I'm available for you, bro.
Listen,
Just say what
man. Listen, I always appreciate you. You know what I'm saying?
uh,
You know where we come from on that. And for everybody else, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do.
we got the internet.
Listen, you hit that like button. You also can subscribe to this channel. Also, if you're on the X, you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it's my pleasure to follow you right back. Also, the same thing on the IG on Instagram. You can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. And like I said, you follow me, I'll follow you right back. And for Cal One to God, my brother, this is William Martin signing off once again and thanking all of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well,
Yeah, thank
everybody.
you, bro.
Be good, man.